Welcome class. Today we are talking about section 4-6, graphing linear equations. All right, the learning intention today is to graph linear equations. And your success criteria is when you can plot the b, right, y-intercept given an equation, and then you can use your slope to then develop the extra points you need to create your line. All right. And you may also see equation for a vertical and horizontal line. We'll talk about those when we get there. But yeah, so your success criteria is being able to graph from the 3 different types of equations you're going to see in the notes today. Let's get going. All right, so here is your first and most common type of equation. It's just going to be your slope-intercept. Y equals mx plus b. All right, and you can see here you have y equals mx plus b. They just have numbers where your m and your b should be. So your m slope is 2/3, and your b, your y-intercept, is 1. So you would go to 1, and you would put a point like you see they had done here already. And then you would use your slope to develop the rest of your line. You would go up 2 and over 3, and you would put your second point here, and then you would just connect your dots with this blue line like they did here for you. It really is that simple. That's all you have to do. You start at your B, start at your y-intercept. M will determine how you change. Wow, that is bad writing. Change. All right, so once again, B is your starting point. M slope is how you change. And you can see that's what we did here. Once again, I'm going to repeat it just because I think it's important. You start at 1, 0, 1 for your intercept. And then to find the next point, you just go up 2, over 3, and then connect your dots using a line. And then that's it. All right, let's take a look. I'll give you some time to look at the next couple of slides where everything's nicely written out. All right, so here's a good first example. We have an m of negative 2/3, and we have a b of 4. So I have copied and pasted these graphs so I can show you how to do them like as I do them. That being said, when I show you the answer that the book gives, it might be on a little different graph, you know, showing a little bit more of your positive y-axis or something like that. You'll see when we get there, don't worry about it. Just what I'm trying to say is don't get stressed out if my example graph and the solution graph aren't exactly the same. The lines and the values are still equal. And you'll see what I mean when we get there. So remember, B is your start. That's the most important thing to remember, honestly. So you need to go to 4 on your y-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is where you are starting your graph. Now look at your slope. You are going down 2, right 3. That's what this means. So down 1, 2, right 1. Actually, let me make a mark. Down 1, 2, right 1, 2, 3. And there's my new dot. Now this is going to be rough, but I'm going to try to connect these lines for you guys. Not that bad. And that is roughly what your graph would look like. It is that simple. You just start where your B says to start and use your M, your slope, to find out where your next point is. All right. Now, like I said, the next couple of slides should show this in a little prettier fashion, easy to read fashion. I'll let you guys take your time, pause it if you need to, and copy those notes down. So once again here, they are just showing you how to pull out your slope and your intercept from your equation. So if you need to, you can pause it here. Go on to the next slide. Step 2 is they're showing you how to use the slope and the intercept to make your graph. And once again, like you can see, this is the origin. The whole graph is shifted down a little bit. So it's a little different looking from what I did, but the graph itself and the values of the graph are identical. They are identical. All right, so this is a check problem. If you have some graph paper at home, or you can download graph paper, I don't know what you guys do, but try to graph this on your own. The practice is super important. You need to try to do this on your own. Answers on the next slide. And once again, here is that graph for that line. You start at 5, and then you go down 4 over 1, and that's all you would do for that graph. All right, so once again, they are asking you a bunch of stuff, but they give you an equation, guys. So you don't need to worry about what that stuff says. Just use the equation, right? M is slope, B is your intercept, your starting point. Use this to graph. If you do it correctly, you should find out that your slope is 1/3, your intercept is 3, which means you will start at 3 and then go up 1 over 1, 2, 3. And look at that. Once again, we would connect our dots and we would have our line. All right, let's go into the next example. All right, here's the check problem I want you guys to try on your own. Once again, it's a word problem, but guess what? They give you the equation, so you can ignore the word problem and use the equation. So we have a little bit of problem here. My graph is a little small for this intercept, but that's okay, because I know that 6 is just one space above where we can go. So that's where we start, 0, 6. Now I'm going to go up 4 over 1. We're already off the graph though, so this is actually a really good time to mention, if you ever have to go to the left or the down instead of up, right, because it's +4, now you're gonna have to go down 4 because we don't have room, well, you just go to the left instead of the right. So here's what I mean by that. That's down 1, down 2, down 3, down 4, and then over to the left 1. So this is what that line would look like. And as you can see, as long as you go in the opposite direction of your rise and run, you still have a positive slope, which means you're good. All right, so this is what your answer should look like. Now you can see their graph, their answer version, is only in quadrant 1, but it's the same thing because they started at 6, they went up 4 to 10, and over to 1. All right, so just because the graph is a little bit different doesn't mean it's wrong, as long as the values are correct. All right, here they're just doing some talking about your horizontal lines. I'm going to just recommend you read this and summarize it if you need to, all right? There's not a lot I can explain here that's not already explained. Read if you need to, summarize it in your notes. Once again, this is just showing how the graph of a horizontal line works. This is sometimes you can get a little bit lost in the weeds. This isn't necessary to know. Just understand how it works. Let's take a look at how it works and do an example here. So, graph y equals -1. This is super easy. You just go to your y-axis, find -1, which is right here, and that's your line. You just put a line through it, and you're done. And that's because they're saying this line has a y value of -1 infinitely, forever, right? This is 1, -1, 2, -1, 3, -1. We could do this forever. I'm not going to. But that is why the equation is written as such. So once again, this is just what we did and what I said, but in a little bit neater, easier to read way. So pause it here if you need to take some notes, and just resume when you're done. So here's your example, y equals -6. Just find -6, which is off of the graph here. So you would just be putting a point down here on -6 and drawing that line straight through. The next page should have a nice, nicer view of this. Let's take a look. Oh, it's going to make me stop it. All right, so here is that nicer look at the graph that you should have gotten from y equals -6. Let's Let's go to the next page where we are going to talk about vertical lines. Once again, you could just read this on your own, pause it if you'd like to write something down. I do not recommend writing all of it. At the very least, summarize it. If you were writing all of it down, you are messing up, y'all. All right, let's go to the next slide. Once again, more information, write it down if you need to, summarize, do not copy directly word for word. That is a waste of your time. All right, let's get to the example though. So x equals 4. Once again, this is super simple, guys. Find your x-axis, find 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Put a straight line up and down and you're done. Take a look at the next slide, see a prettier version of this. And they will once again explain to you that x equals 4 because all x values on that line are 4. This right here is 0 or 4, 0. This is 4, 1, 4, negative 2, so on and so forth. All right, next one is all you guys. I would like you to try to graph this on your own. I'm not even going to bother showing it to you because it's not going to fit on the graph. The answer is on the next slide, but I recommend pausing it, trying it on your own. All right, here is your answer, and we are done with our video. So that is 4-6. That is graphing using slope-intercept form. Hopefully you've watched this and you can come in tomorrow ready to do some practice.